You're listening to the DTF podcast, Down to Fitness, where we turn personal trainers into fitness professionals. We're your hosts, Dayton McPherson and Kyle Radune. Kyle, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, Dayton?
Oh,
be brave, be strong, be fearless.
You like that shirt?
Yeah, you're so badass.
I'm a cool man.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
How's your week going, dude?
Do you want the real answer or do you want the sugar-coated answer?
I'll be honest. Usually when I say that, I expect a great, thanks, let's get into it. But no, it sounds like you have a story to tell.
I do. So I was working out at CrossFit a couple days ago, or it was a week ago this time. I went and sat down in my car, and my cup holders are right in the center console. And when I put my right arm down, I must have gone a little too hard and a little too fast. And I had a pen that was in the center console that was sticking up with the ballpoint up. And the pen actually went into my arm.
Oh.
And was sticking out of my arm. There was no blood, no gore, nothing like that. I was really afraid to pull it out of my arm. I didn't know how far it was in. I couldn't really see it because it was in my elbow. I didn't tell my wife because she was in Italy and I didn't want to ruin her trip. I was fine. Went to the hospital. They pulled it out. They put a stitch or two in it and they said it should fall out, the stitches, in about a week. I feel fine now. Did send a little shock through my hand when I sat down. Didn't feel too good when I drove myself to the hospital. But I'm good, man. Like I can move. It feels all right, but it was a little scary having a pen jutting out of your elbow.
Dude, so I definitely don't do well. I get very queasy, and that, like, just now hearing that story, even though you didn't have anything in your elbow when you showed me your elbow, I kind of like turned away from the screen.
Yeah, like I don't know if anybody's really watching, but it was right here. There we go. There's a little dot in there. It was really black and blue at the beginning of the week. It feels okay. I'm just going to keep an eye on it. I've been doing a pretty good job making sure that it's not going to get infected or anything. And, you know, when we were kids, you remember the whole thing about like lead poisoning if you get stabbed with a pencil? And like I asked the doctor or the nurse that was with me, is like, am I going to get an infection? And she's like, you're probably going to be okay. And I was like, all right, cool. She's like, you have enough gin and tonics that'll probably kill anything in your body. I was like, perfect. So I'm having another one. That's how we prevent it. Anyways,
or it's how we caused it in the first place. So that's another story.
No, I came back from the gym, man.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Not like the gym.
Slamming himself into the car.
No, God, no. So a couple weeks ago, we had done a bio of me, and today we're going to do a bio of Kyle, my dearest friend. We're going to get to know a little bit about you. So, Kyle, let's start with the easy stuff, the who you are, where do you live, are you married, all that good stuff, kind of what's going on in your life. Tell the people at home who you are, buddy.
Oh, right. Tell the people what they want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're that interested. No, so I know this is probably some of the more boring stuff, but no, I'm actually originally born in San Diego, California. So I'm a West Coast kid for sure.
Totally.
Yeah, a lot of family in San Francisco. I lived in that central Bay Area for a long time. And when I say a long time, like years, but I was probably 6-ish when I came over to Connecticut. My family moved over here. I actually had some grandparents here, yada, yada, yada. So that's kind of how I ended up on the East Coast. Right now, I actually live in Florida, but we'll get to that part of the story because COVID brought me here. So that's kind of the Florida part is part of my fitness journey.
That's right.
By the time this airs, I actually will be married. This is being recorded on a Friday evening. I am eloping tomorrow morning. You didn't know that yet.
So I didn't know that. That's amazing, man.
That's so cool. Thank you.
Do you want to talk about that or no?
Yeah, no. So actually, I'll throw in a little bits there for everybody.
Dude, I'm so excited for you. This is like real emotion. A lot of the times we fake this stuff when we're on here, but like that's awesome.
Thank you. So Actually, as of right now, my fiance is pregnant. We have a baby due in January. So we got our New Year's baby coming. We are going to have a bigger wedding, and we'll invite you down for it, Dayton.
Oh, I'm coming.
But what we wanted to do before the baby was make it legal. So we have a friend. We're going to go elope on the beach where you definitely don't want to be. But nice sunrise on the water, and we'll do the thing. And then around this year, we actually picked the date so that next year, well, you're actually going to have the wedding on the same date.
So next year, 2024.
Yes, but 2024, not 2023.
Awesome. All right. I will book my flights and I will be there, my brother.
Well, you'll get some more information when we get a little closer.
Awesome. So, cool. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
So it's been a big year for me.
That's awesome. So, this was a big year, but let's skip back a couple of years or more years. So let's talk about you as a kid. Were you fit? Did you play sports? Were you active? Like what was it like growing up as a Radune?
So it's a great question. Now it's funny because we got to take us back now. I know we're not really old, but in this post-tech world, it feels like we're ancient, in my 30s here. How old am I? 36, 37, 36? I think I'm 36.
I don't know.
How old are you?
I'm 32.
Listen, I was born in 87. Someone else could do the math. It gets
91.
To the point you start to forget. No, but in all seriousness, very active as a kid, but I was still overweight. Italian family. Anytime that I went to my grandparents, and I was there probably 4 or 5 days a week. I was like the after school, went to his grandparents. I ate McDonald's pretty much every single day. In the 90s, your grandparents bought you McDonald's. Like, I felt like the greatest thing ever. Like, I love McDonald's. My grandparents treated me. They loved McDonald's. Very typical back then. So even though I was actually an active kid, I liked to play outside. I wasn't on, we didn't have a cell phone. And this is back when we played in the yard until the lights went, the street lights came on. So I was very active, but I was never healthy. So, it's one thing to play tag in the backyard. But when you eat McDonald's 2-3 times a day, I was raised on fast food. Historically, I was known as the Oreo kid. I love Oreos. So much so that as an adult, I have to actually strategically avoid looking at them because at this point not to belittle other people addiction issues, but I compare it to a cocaine or heroin because I swear to you, if I have one, I will go to the store at 3 o'clock in the morning and I will buy 20 packs and I will eat all of them. The inner fat kid in me has never changed. And this is actually a message I work with my clients in obese because you can be a totally different human on the outside, but some of that shit never goes away. So little inside, I love Oreos.
So how did we go from this Oreo loving little man, little child to this fit, muscular bicep bro that we see before us? Yeah. Kyle's huge. Kyle is shorter than I am, but he is ripped. He's got I'm going to talk him up a little bit. He's got great arms. He's got great abs. He's always the one that wants to go and work out when we would always travel and be like, no, man, I'm going to sleep in. So how did that person come to be after you were licking the cream off of Oreos?
Overcompensation, right? So ultimately, I grew up, like I said, active. I like to play sports, just carried a little extra weight. Through high school, I was starting to get heavier. And the older you got, the more access you had to food. I got my driver's license, which was probably the worst thing for me as someone that loved fast food. Minimum wage job at 16 years old. I was working at a grocery store. You could drive yourself to Taco Bell or Burger King or McDonald's or Wendy's every day after school. So then my 16, 17, 18 years old, I put on about 60 to 80 pounds, give or take.
In a year?
I was even...
In about a year?
Yeah. And about, I would say junior, senior year of high school.
Okay.
But I was playing football. I was a lineman. I had, participated in any kind of sport. Like I said, I always loved sports. So I still wasn't scared of moving my overweight body. So it wasn't always that I was just super sedentary. So I was interested in sports. I just could never be good at them because I could never get my diet under control.
Hmm.
And because I was active, even though I was pushing 240, 250, 216 pounds at 16, 18 years old, the truth is I was active enough that it didn't go crazy. So as soon as high school was done, there was no more sports. There was no more after school activities. There was no more just hanging out, going for a walk down the street. It was very much, I became very sedentary. This is where I was playing video games nonstop. I was drinking every day after work. It got to the point where when you're pushing 300 pounds, you can drink 30 beers on a Friday night and be pretty okay when you're a regular drinker. So just think about the calories. On a Friday night, I'd put back a 30 pack. I was also a cigarette smoker, which, so heart and lungs, I was deconditioned. I was miserable, but I didn't know it because I was stimulated, right? So this goes on for some time. And I'll never forget the morning that I had this issue. I went downstairs. I was about to get to work. I lived on, my bedroom was on the second floor. I had a couple of roommates. I went down to my car. I forgot my wallet. I had to get out of the car and walk back up the stairs, back to my bedroom to get my wallet. Made it halfway up the stairs. Held onto the handrail, took a knee, and couldn't fucking get all the way to the top. And that was my breaking point. That was my rock bottom. That was my, I can't even get up the stairs to get my friggin' wallet. Like, I'm broken. I'm just broken. So, not to get super emotional here, but that was the moment for me. So I went and hired. But yeah, no.
I was going to say,
before I shift topics, like
no. I was going to say, like, fitness is emotional. Like, we always talk about this, like, and I'm going to put it to what I know best in terms of like sales and things like that. But that's your heartstring. Like, that's why you decided to make a change in your life, because of one singular moment that was predicated by thousands of poor choices beforehand. And you had one moment that you could pinpoint and say, I'm not going to be like this anymore. And if that is what we can pinpoint on to be like, if you don't want to be like this, you have to do X, Y, and Z, then as coaches, we have to focus on that. Like, if anybody could say, Kyle, I can help you do blank, 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 because you don't want to feel that way anymore, then that's great. But sometimes we hire a coach and they don't provide us with those results. And I know this story all too well, but I want you to talk about it a little bit more and how your first experience with a personal trainer was, because this is the coach and the trainer that we are trying to not have all of our listeners be.
Yeah. So, and actually I'm going to do that a little bit in between there, because I did try to work out on my own a couple times. Back then, you know what the cool thing was P90X. You can do it at home. I went on my online on the internet and I stole that shit, downloaded it. Shout out to, like,
I don't know if I've ever done P90X.
So dude, it's all jumping. It's all plyometrics. It's just go into your living room and jump up and down. So, okay.
What's that dude's name? Is it like Tony something
Horton.
or Tony?
Isn't it Tony Horton P90X?
I have no idea.
Yeah. P90X is Tony Horton, and then Sean T is the insanity guy.
Sean T is who I was thinking of. I went like this to say, like, shaved head guy. Okay, yes. Sean T is who I was thinking of. All right,
Sean T.
So
he was insanity.
Okay, all right, gotcha. So I've heard of Insanity, and I've heard of P90X. I think I may have done like one workout of Insanity just to do it, but I've never done P90X.
Yeah, I mean, it's all plyometrics. It's jump up and down, do a burpee, run in place, high knees, butt kickers. And when you're overweight and deconditioned, like, I didn't get very far in these workouts, and I just felt awful. Like, everything would hurt. And I didn't understand nutrition either. So, like, I would do all that, and then I would go to, I would still go to McDonald's and Taco Bell and I'll go all the places that's how I knew to eat. And that's the budget that I had. So instead I would go to McDonald's and I would get like the chicken salad. And yeah, like, I chose the salad over the cheeseburger. But anyone that's ever worked with a nutritionist or truly understands nutrition, the calorie in, calorie out model is pretty clear. that if you have 1,000
Way
calories
worse.
of dressing at McDonald's, you actually now ate 300 calories more than the burger and fries.
Just eat the burger and fries. A burger at McDonald's is better for you than a Lenny and Larry's cookie.
It absolutely is. It's higher in protein. It's got less crap in it. And the Lenny and Larry's cookie actually is 2 servings for 1 cookie, and they lie to you to make you think that it's double what it is. But really, who has 2 servings of a cookie?
All right, back to you. Not going off on tangents.
Yeah, sorry. So anyway, so I tried all the things. I kind of hurt myself. Like everything sucked. I was probably like 19 years old now. I had been working for a little bit. Obviously, I didn't have a lot of money, but I had a job and I lived with my parents. So like I had some cash. Went to a gym, hired a personal trainer. At that time, personal training was not really a career yet. I mean, we're talking like 2008, 2010. At this point, some of the first personal trainers, professional fitness trainers, were not even there a decade yet. So when you hired a trainer back then, it was usually a former like high school athlete that did workouts through high school for years and didn't have a job. They weren't really educated. It was definitely a hobby. It's kind of the things that we talk about.
Right.
So I hired a coach and I got Mr. High School job.
Well, was it a tier 1 coach? Do you know?
Yeah, whatever, I obviously I wasn't in a gym that either had tiers or back then their business model didn't even understand what a good trainer versus a bad trainer was, I don't think, at this point. This industry is fairly new, right? So
yeah.
And he basically, it was like he watched P90X and Insanity and learned from the Beachbody coaches on how to lose weight. So he had never been overweight in his life. He genetically gifted, athlete forever, ripped, 6-pack, just expected me to do whatever he did. Well, when you're 100 pounds overweight and someone tells you to lay on your back and do 50 crunches, it's just stupid. So I didn't know any better, and I did everything he told me to do. I never was successful. He put me on the ground. I couldn't get up. And I'd had everyone in the gym. I felt like they looked at me. I know better now, but I felt like everyone was staring at me. I felt like everyone was pointing and laughing. I hated the gym, and I hated my coach.
No one gave a shit about you. But like
no one
you
gave
said,
a shit about me.
We know that now. No one gave a shit, but you thought they did, and that's the only thing that matters.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, and also back then, it was impossible to cancel gym memberships. So now I'm a kid, been working my ass off for minimum wage. Back then, it was $6.90, bagging groceries. At $6.90, right?
$6.90. God damn.
Minimum wage in 2003.
God damn.
Yeah.
You're old.
So, you do that for a while, and to pay for a trainer, to pay for a gym membership, you paid $100 a month for a gym membership, and you were locked in for 12 months, and you had to give your firstborn to cancel it. So now I'm locked in for 12 months to this gym membership I can't afford, and a personal trainer I definitely can't afford that wasn't getting me results and was getting me hurt and made me miserable, and I hated everything about fitness. I quit. I went home. I went back. I ate my sleeve of Oreo cookies. I ordered some cheeseburgers, and I put my feet up and played video games for the next 6 months. So my big rock bottom emotional story, it didn't even change anything because all it did was get me into the gym and had the gym turn me away, basically, in a shorter version. Take my money, screw me over. And now I hate fitness people.
So you hate fitness and hate fitness people. So how are you one of the biggest fitness people and supporters in the world right now? Like what were your next steps? Like, did you just try to do it on your own? Were you like, I'm going to get certified and do this shit for myself? Sorry for my language. But what's your thought process? Because I have a bad experience. I'm like, I'm done with this. I'm not going back to it. Like, it's a restaurant, right? Fitness is a restaurant. I have a bad experience at a restaurant. I'm never going back to that restaurant. So how do you get here? What do you do?
So you know what? At first it defeated me. So I gave up. And then I don't have a big, moment that changed me. I just one day I was like, F that guy. I'm way smarter than all the people I met at the gym. Google is brand new at this point. So now I'm Googling like how to be healthy. Obviously, the information back then is even way worse than it was today. So, but I'm learning. I'm trying to find like what's good information, what's bad information, what comes from some kind of credible source. Believe it or not, back then, like bodybuilding.com had a lot of great articles from some of like the best people with PhDs back then. And you read good articles. It was definitely focused on the bros and stuff like that, but it had good information. So I was self-taught. So I went to the gym, I watched a lot of videos, and I would just kind of learn. One of my favorite books is I actually bought the Arnold Schwarzenegger's bodybuilding, the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. I have it up here. Read all of it. It had hundreds of exercises, and now all of a sudden, I knew hundreds of exercises. So I just went through, and he had some like templates on how to build a program, and that's how I built my first program. So fast forward to make this story a little shorter. I did it for myself, and I lost 50 pounds just on, over the year of working out on my own, no help, just the internet, lost 50 pounds. I was so excited. I was so motivated by losing that weight that I literally woke up one morning. This is like my next big change in my life. I went to my job. My job at this point, I was a chemist. I was making biodiesel. My family is or was the largest producer of biodiesel in the country. We used to produce millions of gallons of diesel fuel every single year for home heating and for vehicles. It was a direct drop in replacement. I see your face, so I figured I'd give everyone a little information. I didn't go to a gas station for almost 5 years.
This is all new information. Like, how long have we been friends and never
You didn't know about my biodiesel days?
No.
Okay, so
we're not friends anymore. Like, you don't even like me. You don't tell me shit.
Well, we met after. So I've told you my fat fit story, but my biodiesel story usually is not relevant.
Not my biodiesel fit.
So I was in, so I used to wear a lab coat. Inside of this factory, though, it's 100 plus degrees in the summer. It can get to like 120 degrees because there's heaters and tanks and like stuff's hot. So you're in there just sweating and miserable. And we were across the street from a McDonald's. So I'm telling you, like, this was my life. I would walk over, eat my cheeseburgers, and get back to my desk and get back and doing my lab stuff.
Damn.
I was just so miserable that all of it finally came together. The idiot trainer I had, this awesome feeling of success and weight loss, and then me looking around and being like, I don't love money this much. I just don't. I am making great money in this factory, in this lab, doing things that no other Americans are doing right now. I was in an industry of one, right? That's where you want to be. And I went, peace.
I hate this.
I picked up my things and I moved down to Tampa, Florida, and I went to the National Personal Training Institute. The reason I did this is a lot of people go online, they take the NASM, they take the ACE. It's a quick test, it's a weekend, and you have your certification. But I was so pissed off at the crappy trainer that I wanted to go to the most involved, the most education, the most hands-on training that money could buy at this time. And back then, MPTI was one of a kind. The NASM and ACE had a test, but MPTI was putting people in a gym and training them hands-on. That's what I wanted.
So I know that this is going to be longer than my bio, but I'm actually really interested in that. And if anybody doesn't want to know, then you can shut the damn thing off because I'm interested and I'm the only one that matters anyways. Can you talk about MPTI or a little bit?
Yeah.
And like, what do you do when you're there? Because I hear so many people are coming out of there, and if I can be honest without being rejectful, I think it sounds like a sham.
It is now.
But I'm not saying that it is. Like, to me, when it's like, oh, you can come to school and we'll teach you how to be a personal trainer. So can you enlighten me so that I have a better understanding of what it is?
That's an excellent question, because what I don't want is people to hear this and be like, oh, that's the way to do it. I actually have a different opinion on that now. MPTI, the one I went to, and the reason I went to Tampa, there's one in Connecticut. They are franchises. So just like CrossFit gyms, you can't just show up at one and be like, I'm going to get the best experience possible. You better know the owner of the franchise and the instructors or the coaches, if you're comparing it to like a CrossFit gym. So the MPTI I went to was the second ever. Their first headquarters location is in Orlando. The second one was in Tampa. Orlando, they actually have dorm rooms, and it's like housing. It's like a full deal. Like that was the original. I didn't want to live in a dorm. I wanted to live on the beach. So I said, screw Orlando.
Of course you did.
Yeah, of course, right? So I went to the one in Tampa, which was their second location. It was broken off from their headquarters. So I got the cream of the crop instructors in the beginning of its time. Now, there are all these franchises all over, and anyone can kind of just apply and become a teacher there. So I'm not saying that. You just do your research.
Right. And I don't know. I'm not trying to like say that it's not good or anything like that. I just don't know enough about it to hold it credible.
Yeah.
And maybe that's on me.
To answer your actual question as far as like the quality of it. Now, what it was, and the reason why I went to Tampa, Florida for the National Personal Training Institute, it was housed in a 40,000 square foot gym. The back room had a 5,000 square foot classroom. Okay. So most gyms aren't even 5,000 square feet. So this is a classroom. They have all the equipment in there. You're learning the anatomy. You're sitting in front of the textbook. You have the skeletons, and you're literally learning joint actions with a moving body. And you're doing all that stuff, and it's really friggin' cool. And then you go have lunch. You come back at 1 o'clock, and guess what? It's hands-on time. So the second half of the day, we would go out, and we would coach each other. So now, by the time you graduate, you have your 500 hours of education, but you also have 500 hours of personal training. And that's why when I walked into Health Tracks on day one, I signed up a client and I took them out and I showed them a good workout, and everyone went, this is your first day? Like, hell yeah, I've been training for a year, even though this is my first day.
All right, off topic. This is what I'm going to say to you right now. Take a pen and a piece of paper and write down that we need to talk about certifications and the downfall of certifications that it has on individuals in our industry, because nobody does that. And I'm not saying that any certification is bad or doing something like what Kyle did is bad, but there needs to be a middle ground, because just going online and watching some videos doesn't make you a good trainer.
No.
But anyways, there's my rant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to keep going. We'll do certifications part 2.
All right. Okay.
So
keep going. Okay. So you're certified now. My favorite saying of all time.
Certifications don't mean shit.
No. Now what? Now what? You're certified. Okay. You're in Florida. What do you do now?
Exactly. So now what? Right. Stumble into. Actually, I shouldn't say stumble into. I was online in Tampa. I was applying to all the jobs in Tampa. I wanted to work with, Florida people. I wanted to be on the beach. I wanted hot, sexy people. I'm like, this is awesome. I live in Florida now. I applied everywhere. No one took me. I got one call back from the one gym I applied to in Connecticut. And the funniest thing, and I've never told anyone this story.
Whoa. Pause. You were in Florida and you applied to a gym in Connecticut.
Yeah, back home.
Okay, keep going.
So, still own my house in Connecticut.
No,
I had only gone there for a year with the intent of coming back.
I know, but you're such a beach boy.
I know. I didn't want to come back, but if I wasn't going to get a job in Florida, I had to come back. Oh, skipping ahead. Literally, like my third day at work, I was standing at the front desk with all the employees at Health Tracks, and they're like, "Hey, what are you gonna do?" I'm like, "Oh, as soon as I can get good enough at this gig, I'm gonna move back to Florida." I said that from day one, and then sure enough, it happened.
And he did.
So moving the story along here, I went online and I found the Health Tracks in Glastonbury, which is the closest one to my hometown. And if you remember the old Health Tracks, the Glastonbury one, before all the renovations, now it's like the pictures were these like glass walls, and like the way the art was done, it looked like a really fancy building on the internet, and it looked like a glass palace. So compared to the Anytime Fitnesses of the world and all those like crappy gyms, I saw Health Tracks as the glass palace. I swear to you, true story. So I got a call from the fitness director in Glastonbury.
Who
He's
was?
like, yeah, dude. He's like, if you can show up to work, like, I'll hire you over the phone. And I was like, okay, give me a date. And I was like, I'll see you then. So I packed up my things, hopped in the car, went back to Connecticut, started working at Hill Tracks.
Kyle, who was the fitness director there?
Eric Popol something ski. Polish guy. Crazy last name, but we used to call him Pop. He was Eric Pop.
All right,
Eric
don't
Pop.
talk bad about my company if you're going to talk about it, by the way.
Oh, no, I love your company.
All right.
All
right, hey, so we're at Health Tracks now. I
helped build it to what it is today. So,
yeah.
All right.
Episode is done. See you, everybody, later. No, I'm joking.
So, fast forward. So, I work as a personal trainer for a little while. Got some experience. Head trainer, fitness director. Unlike your story, there is one fitness director opening, and I applied for it. And everyone told me, hey, you're not going to get this. You don't have the experience. You haven't been XYZ.
Yeah, you did.
Sure enough, about 6 weeks go by, and I get the job, fitness director. I'm going to Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'm sure they took a chance on me. I'm sure there wasn't any real reason to give me that job. They didn't have anyone they wanted to move to Raleigh. They didn't have anyone. And I was like, I am going to take this opportunity. I'm going to show you guys that I was always the best person for this job. So sure enough, I went down to Raleigh. A year later, I got the call. Hey, we want you to come back. And it was the greatest day of my life. So I came back to Glastonbury as still as a fitness director, but the fitness director title came with new responsibilities. They wanted me to come back to Connecticut to pair up with their other young superstar, up and coming guy, Dayton McPherson. And I went, yeah, we can chat. We'll see how it goes. And I'm like, this guy ain't nothing, right? So I'll come back to Connecticut.
We didn't know of each other.
No,
I didn't know you.
I had
no clue who you were, and I probably had the same thoughts. I was like, this guy. I was like, come on. I was like, I'm the best. I was like, this guy. No, I'm joking.
And then we got in a room together, and the rest is history.
And it was like we were brothers that like got separated at birth.
Yeah,
and it was amazing.
Man. Yeah, for sure.
Because not only are we so different, but our mindsets are so similar with the end goal. How we get there is different, but we want to do the same thing. So that's what I always loved about teaching workshops with you or coaching people, because we're trying to get to Z, but our A, B, C, D, so on and so forth may be different, but each one has good intentions. Like, we've never done anything that's sketchy. We've never done anything that's irregular. Like, we're just like, this is the way Dayton does it. This is the way Kyle does it. You can pick either option, or you can mesh the two, but you'll get all the way to the end. You just have to find your own path. And that's why I liked you, because you never shunned me and you always respected me. And I did the same for you.
It was definitely a good match. Shout out to Gary for making that happen.
Gary, cheers.
That's my man.
I need a tissue.
Mine's empty now. So basically,
all right.
I come back, we get together, we just start changing the game, right? Company takes off, everyone's making more money, everyone's happy. We start workshops, we're helping trainers left and right, we're traveling all over the place. COVID blows everything up like everyone else in the world. I don't need to talk too much about what COVID was like, because we're all very familiar there. Shut down gyms. I saw everyone partying on the beach in Florida, getting paid. And I was like, you know what?
Kyle left me. He left.
And then I got in the car. I threw my dog, Apollo, into the car. We went down south.
He left.
I had every intention of coming back. Honest to God. I was on all the team meetings. I was hosting my team meetings for my Glastonbury people. Yes, they had to watch the Zoom calls with the beach in the background. I was like, but I'm here. I'm hosting it. We're doing the thing.
So I can be very honest right now, since you don't work for us anymore and there's no bad blood. You were the first person to call and say, I don't think I'm coming back. And my response to you, I don't know if you remember what it was, but I do, is I said, Kyle, I love you like a brother. You've been so important to everything that we've done in this company, but you have to do what's best for you. I said, if you're going to leave and you want to stay down, do it. If you want to come back, fine. I said, but I'm not going to persuade you either way, because you have to do what's best for you. And you said, I think I'm going to stay. And my response was, good for you. Even though I was crying on the inside,
Yeah, it
because
was an emotional
that's how
thing.
I honestly felt. Like I just wanted you to feel the best about yourself. And I wasn't going to say, no, Kyle, I need you. Even though I did, but you wanted to do something different and go somewhere else. And that's okay. Like I can't be selfish in that aspect. Like you go do what's going to make you a better fitness professional. And then here we are a year later, and now we're doing this podcast. Now I get to talk to you every week. It's almost like we never stopped working together.
Well, and I think this is kind of, it all comes to a point here, whereas this is why we have the podcast, right? Because I left the COVID, I didn't know what my life was even going to be. And I ended up getting into, now I been consulting with gyms. I've got a couple of gyms that opened up here down here in the St. Pete area that I work with. I opened up my own, my own kind of private training studio with a full book of business. And I have been in the last 6 months or so shopping for what is going to become my wellness empire. We are looking at buildings of 5,000 plus square feet. We are going to have chiropractors, physical therapists, like medical professionals doing the whole thing. We're doing it big, and we're going to be a CrossFit affiliate. So it's definitely something that is special to me, and this will happen this year. And that's been this is my big reveal for it.
That's awesome.
But been in negotiations with Lee stuff for next year. So next year is a big year for me. We'll open up another gym. I'm gonna have a baby.
Big baby. Well, not big baby, but baby.
I'm the big
All
baby.
Right. So if we can summarize this episode, and this is what I've been really waiting for, your legacy. Okay. What is it? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want people to remember you by? Kyle Radune, blank.
Change the fucking game.
Can you elaborate a little bit more?
What
does that mean? What do you want to what do you want to change?
I did that because I wrote it in the show notes like that because I was going to explain it better. But I know you were asking me because you were like, what the hell does that mean? Listen, my purpose, my why, the reason I get out of bed every single day and I am Kyle Radune, the fitness professional, it absolutely all stems from everything that we talked about in this episode leading up to now. My goal in life is to make sure that no one ever walks into a gym and gets the experience that I got as a client. I want to make sure that everyone that wants to get healthy has the means to do so. I want to change the world as far as health and fitness are concerned. I want to make it accessible and easy for everyone to participate in. What I experienced when I wanted to lose weight was awful. It was expensive. No one cared about me. They sent me down a rabbit hole to gaining more weight and more things. So over these years, all I've ever wanted was to have every single person, especially the ones that are scared of the gym, to come out and say, hey, Kyle, let's go lift. Let's go get healthy because I got you. And that's what I want.
Awesome. So for those of you that weren't watching this video, I'm going to talk about it and then we can sign off. So Kyle is very emotional when he talks about this because I know it means a lot to him and he feels it in the depths of his soul. Like that's really how he feels. Like if you watch this on Spotify or YouTube, his face, like he means this. Like that's his why. That's why he wants to do it. And even though our whys are different, we give a damn. And if we didn't, we're not in the right industry.
100%.
And if you can reflect on that every single night before you go to bed, whether or not you're in fitness or sales, if you're listening to us, because we have pretty good sales techniques and things like that. If you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, I don't know if this is for me, it's not for you. I'll say it straight up. This has to be for you. You have to give a damn about your clients, your members, your team. Like this is something that you're all in for literally 24 hours a day. And if you can't do that, fitness is a hard area to get passionate about. So passion overcomes everything. Kyle's passionate. I'm passionate. We're passionate in different areas. And that's what makes us special. And that's why I love him. So, Kyle, your story was 10 times better than mine. I'm just a stupid jock that went to Ireland and drank beer. You're
No, it's
like,
all in the interviewer. You were the better
nah,
interviewer. You asked better
no,
questions.
man. Like you're like pure origin story. You're
Mhm.
like Spider-Man, and
Tell
I'm
you.
more like, I don't know. Who am I? Who's a like pretty crappy like Marvel character? I'm like Hawkeye. You don't really know what's going on with Hawkeye. I don't have my own movie. You've got a bunch of movies, man. I ain't got nothing.
Uh,
That was great, and I appreciate you sharing because I've heard those stories before. I know how emotional and how they affected you as a fitness professional. So thank you. And thank you to everybody that listened. Kyle talked for way longer than I wanted him to. But here we are, 40 minutes into the episode, and we are going to sign off because it's Friday night. I want to play video games.
I'm
Kyle
trying to
wants to
go
go to
play
bed.
video games right now.
All right, we're both going to play video games. So happy weekend, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, y'all. Peace.